I caught my wife cheating with her boss. Here's how I destroyed her life and saved mine. For over a decade, Alex believed he had the perfect marriage with his wife, Emily. They lived in a beautiful, sprawling house in the affluent Queen Anne neighborhood of Seattle. Their two children, Lily and Max, attended prestigious private schools, and the family enjoyed luxurious vacations and the admiration of their friends and neighbors. Alex worked as a successful software engineer at a leading tech company, while Emily held a high-ranking position at a prominent marketing firm. Their life seemed idyllic, a testament to their hard work and shared dreams. But little did Alex know, his world was about to crumble in the most unexpected and brutal way. It was a typical Thursday evening in late September. The leaves were beginning to change color, and the air held a slight chill, hinting at the approaching fall. Alex was in his home office, the warm glow of his computer screen reflecting on his glasses as he reviewed work emails. He sipped on a glass of his favorite single malt whiskey, the ice cubes clinking softly against the tumbler. His phone buzzed with a new message, disrupting the quiet hum of his evening routine. The text was from Jamie, an old college friend who now worked for a cybersecurity firm. Jamie was attending a conference in Las Vegas and had sent a casual message asking about Emily's whereabouts. Jamie: Hey Alex, random question. Isn't Emily supposed to be in New York this week for work? Alex frowned, his eyebrows furrowing in confusion. He typed out a quick response, confirming that Emily was indeed supposed to be in New York for a series of client meetings. Jamie's reply came swiftly, shattering Alex's world in an instant. Jamie sent a photograph, and Alex's heart sank like a stone in water. The image showed Emily dressed in an elegant, form-fitting black gown, her hair cascading down her back in loose curls. She was sitting at a high-end bar, her legs crossed seductively, leaning into a man in an expensive suit. The man's hand rested possessively on Emily's thigh, his face inches from hers as he whispered something into her ear. Alex recognized the man instantly. It was Daniel Hartley, Emily's boss. Before Alex could process the photograph, another message from Jamie popped up. This time, it was a video. With a sense of dread washing over him, Alex pressed play. The clip showed Emily laughing, her hand resting on Daniel's chest, her body language unmistakably intimate. And then she leaned in and kissed him. Not a friendly peck or a drunken mistake, but a deep, passionate kiss that screamed of familiarity and intimacy. Alex felt a wave of nausea and anger crashed over him. His heart pounded in his chest, and his grip on the phone tightened, until his knuckles turned white. He was torn between the urge to confront Emily immediately and the desire to gather more evidence to understand the extent of her betrayal. The initial shock gave way to a cold, calculated fury as he decided to seek revenge rather than immediate confrontation. Over the next few days, Alex put on a facade of normalcy, acting as if nothing had changed. He went to work, attended the kids' soccer games, and even managed to engage in small talk with Emily about her supposed business trip. But behind the scenes, he was meticulously planning his next moves, fueled by a desire to make Emily pay for her deceit. His first step was to hire a private investigator. He reached out to Lucas Martinez, an old acquaintance who ran a discreet and efficient PI firm. Lucas had helped Alex's company with corporate fraud cases in the past, and Alex trusted his professionalism and confidentiality. They met at Lucas's office, tucked away in a nondescript building in downtown Seattle. Need your help, Lucas, Alex said, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside him. It's personal. Lucas leaned back in his chair, his expression serious. I'm listening. Alex recounted the events of the past few days, showing Lucas the photographs and videos Jamie had sent. He explained his suspicions and his desire to gather more evidence before confronting Emily. Lucas nodded, his expression unreadable as he took in the information. I can help you, Alex, he said finally. I can track her movements, pull her phone records, check her financials. But let me give you a piece of advice. Be sure about what you want to do with this information. Once you open this door, there's no going back. Alex's jaw clenched, his resolve unwavering. I'm sure. I want to know everything. Lucas nodded, his expression grim. All right. I'll start working on it immediately. I'll be in touch as soon as I have something. True to his word, Lucas began sending Alex updates within a few days. He provided detailed reports of Emily's movements, transcripts of her text messages with Daniel, and even itemized receipts from their hotel stays and dinner dates. Each piece of evidence was like a knife twisting in Alex's heart, but he steeled himself, determined to see this through. While Lucas gathered evidence, Alex prepared for the inevitable divorce. He consulted with a top-tier divorce lawyer, Rebecca Stevens, known for her shark-like tenacity in the courtroom. She listened intently as Alex laid out the details of Emily's infidelity, her expression growing increasingly stern. "I want to make sure she walks away with nothing," Alex said, his voice cold. "I want full custody of the kids, the house, everything." Rebecca nodded, her eyes gleaming with determination. "I understand. We'll need to prove that she's at fault. And with the evidence you gathered, that shouldn't be a problem. But Alex, are you sure this is what you want? Divorce is never easy, and it's going to get ugly." Alex's expression didn't waver. "I'm sure. I want her to pay for what she's done." Rebecca nodded, jotting down notes in her legal pad. "All right, let's get to work." Alex also took steps to secure his finances. He opened a new private account and transferred a significant portion of their savings into it. He knew that if Emily filed for divorce first, she could potentially freeze their assets, and he wasn't about to let that happen. He also made copies of all their important documents, tax returns, investment statements, property deeds, and stored them in a secure location. As the days turned into weeks, Alex's anger morphed into a cold, calculated determination. He set up surveillance cameras in their home, hidden in strategic locations to capture Emily's movements and conversations. He also installed tracking software on her phone, allowing him to monitor her location in real time. The evidence piled up, each piece painting a clearer picture of Emily's betrayal. One evening, as Emily returned from her supposed business trip, Alex decided it was time to confront her. He had prepared a folder containing printouts of the photographs, text message transcripts, and hotel receipts, as well as screenshots of her location data. He sat in the living room, the folder resting on the coffee table in front of him, as he waited for Emily to come downstairs. Emily entered the room, her heels clicking softly on the hardwood floor. She was dressed in a crisp blouse and tailored pants, her hair pulled back into a sleek ponytail. She looked every inch the successful career woman, but Alex knew the truth hidden beneath the polished exterior. "Alex, you're home early," she said, a hint of surprise in her voice. "Is everything all right?" Alex looked up at her, his expression unreadable. "Sit down, Emily. We need to talk." Emily hesitated for a moment before complying, her eyes flickering with a hint of unease. She perched on the edge of the armchair across from him, her back straight and her hands folded in her lap. "What's going on, Alex?" she asked, her voice steady despite the slight tremor in her hands. Alex pushed the folder across the table towards her. "Open it." Emily looked at the folder, then back at Alex, her expression wary. She reached out and flipped open the cover, her eyes scanning the contents. As she took in the photographs and text messages, her face paled, and her hands began to shake. "Alex, I can explain," she started, her voice trembling. Alex cut her off, his voice cold and steady. "You lied to me, Emily. You looked me in the eye and lied about where you were, who you were with. You betrayed me, you betrayed our family." Emily's eyes filled with tears, her expression crumbling. "Alex, please, I'm so sorry. It was a mistake, a terrible mistake. I never meant to hurt you or the kids." Alex's expression didn't waver. "A mistake, Emily? Is that what you call a months-long affair with your boss? Is that what you call sneaking around behind my back, lying to my face, and betraying our marriage vows?" Emily's tears spilled over, streaming down her cheeks. "Alex, please, I'm begging you. I'll do anything to make this right. I'll go to therapy, I'll quit my job. Just please don't give up on us." Alex looked at her, his expression cold and unyielding. "It's too late for that, Emily. I gave you a chance to come clean, to tell me the truth, and you chose to lie instead. Now, I'm giving you two options." He reached into the folder and pulled out two sets of documents, placing them on the table in front of her. "Option 1, he said, tapping the first set of papers. "You sign these divorce papers, and you walk away with nothing. No alimony, no share of my assets, nothing but the money in your personal account. You'll have limited visitation rights with the kids, and you'll be required to pay child support." Emily's eyes widened in shock, her tears momentarily forgotten. "Alex, you can't be serious. That's not fair. I've contributed to this marriage too. I've supported you. I've raised our kids." Alex cut her off, his voice sharp. "And option 2, he continued, tapping the second set of papers. "You stay married to me, but from now on, I set the rules. You'll have no access to our joint accounts, no say in any financial decisions, and no freedom to come and go as you please. You'll be a wife in name only, and you'll be at my beck and call 24/7. Emily stared at him, her expression a mix of shock and disbelief. Alex, you can't mean that. That's cruel. You can't just trap me in a loveless marriage. Alex's expression didn't change. Those are your options, Emily. You made your choice when you spread your legs for Daniel Hartley, and now I'm making mine. You have until tomorrow morning to decide. Either way, you're going to regret what you've done for the rest of your life. With that, he stood up and walked out of the room, leaving Emily alone with her tears and the harsh reality of her actions. Over the next few days, Alex watched as Emily grappled with her decision. He saw the fear and uncertainty in her eyes, the way her hands trembled when she poured his morning coffee, the way she flinched every time his voice turned sharp. He felt a grim satisfaction in her discomfort, a cold sense of justice being served. In the end, Emily chose to sign the contract, believing that if she behaved and pleased Alex, he might eventually forgive her. But Alex had other plans. He wanted Emily to suffer, to regret her actions deeply, and to understand the true consequences of her betrayal. A few days later, Alex invited Daniel and his wife Sarah to dinner. He wanted to expose Emily's affair to Sarah, to let her see the true nature of her husband and the woman he had been sneaking around with. He also wanted to humiliate Emily, to make her feel the same pain and embarrassment she had inflicted on him. The evening was tense, with polite conversation masking the underlying turmoil. Alex had prepared a slideshow of photographs and videos, documenting Emily and Daniel's affair in vivid detail. As dessert was served, he casually mentioned how fascinating Vegas hotels could be, hinting at the surveillance footage he had obtained. He slid a black envelope across the table to Sarah, who opened it to find the incriminating evidence. Sarah's face paled as she took in the photographs and videos, her expression growing increasingly cold and composed. She looked up at Daniel, her eyes flashing with anger and betrayal. "Well, this has been eye-opening," she said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. She turned to Daniel, her expression unyielding. "I suggest you come home and start packing your things. I want you out of the house by tomorrow morning." Daniel looked mortified, his face a picture of shock and disbelief. He opened his mouth to speak, but Sarah cut him off with a sharp look. "Don't," she said, her voice cold. "Just don't. I don't want to hear your excuses or your apologies. You've made your bed, and now you can lie in it, alone." With that, she stood up and walked out of the room, leaving Daniel to grapple with the consequences of his actions. Emily, meanwhile, sat in shocked silence, her face pale and her eyes wide with panic. She looked at Alex, her expression a mix of fear and desperation. "Alex, please," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Please don't do this. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you." Alex looked at her, his expression cold and unforgiving. "It's too late for apologies, Emily. You made your choice, and now you have to live with the consequences." The news of the affair spread quickly through Emily's office, fueled by the incriminating evidence Alex had provided. Daniel was fired from his position, his reputation in tatters. Emily, too, struggled to find work, her once stellar career now marred by the scandal of her affair. Her friends distanced themselves, not wanting to be associated with the drama and betrayal. Emily's carefully curated world crumbled around her, leaving her isolated and disgraced. Alex, meanwhile, felt a sense of satisfaction in Emily's downfall. He had exposed her deceit, ensured that she suffered the consequences of her actions, and protected his own interests in the process. He knew that their marriage was over, that there was no going back from the pain and betrayal she had inflicted on him. And so, with a clear conscience and a steely resolve, he prepared to move on with his life. 3 weeks later, Alex and Emily sat across from each other in Rebecca Stevens' office, the divorce papers laid out on the table between them. Emily looked nothing like the confident, polished woman Alex had once known. Her eyes were red and puffy from crying, her hair disheveled, and her hands trembled as she signed the documents that would officially end their marriage. As she handed the pen back to Rebecca, Emily looked up at Alex, her eyes filled with tears and regret. "Alex, I'm so sorry," she whispered, her voice raw with emotion. "I never meant to hurt you. I never meant for any of this to happen. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need you to know that I regret everything. I would give anything to take it back, to make things right between us." Alex looked at her, his expression cold and unyielding. "It's too late for that, Emily. You made your choice, and now you have to live with the consequences." With that, he stood up and walked out of the office, leaving Emily alone with her tears and the ruins of her once perfect life. In the weeks and months that followed, Alex focused on rebuilding his life and protecting his children from the fallout of the divorce. He threw himself into his work, channeling his energy into new projects and opportunities. He spent quality time with Lily and Max, reassuring them of his love and commitment to their well-being. And he began to explore new hobbies and interests, rediscovering the passions he had once set aside in the name of marital compromise. Emily, meanwhile, struggled to rebuild her own life in the wake of the scandal. She moved out of their family home and into a small apartment, taking on whatever work she could find to make ends meet. She reached out to friends and acquaintances, hoping to rebuild the bridges she had burned, but found that many were unwilling to forgive or forget her betrayal. She sent Alex numerous messages begging for his forgiveness and a second chance, but he never responded. He had moved on, leaving her to live with the consequences of her actions. One day, several months after the divorce was finalized, Emily sent Alex one last message. It was a heartfelt apology, a final attempt at closure and redemption. Alex, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need you to know that I regret everything. I would give anything to take it back, to make things right between us. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I miss you, and I still love you. Please just know that I'll always be here for you, no matter what. Alex read the message, his expression thoughtful. He could see the sincerity in her words, the genuine remorse and regret for her actions. But he also knew that forgiveness was not something that could be forced or rushed, that it was a journey that had to be undertaken in one's own time and on one's own terms. And so, with a clear conscience and a heart full of hope for the future, Alex deleted the message and moved on with his life, leaving the pain and betrayal of the past behind him. He knew that he would never forget what Emily had done, that the scars of her betrayal would always be a part of him. But he also knew that he was stronger than the pain, that he was capable of healing and growth and love. And so, with a smile on his face and a spring in his step, Alex walked out into the world, ready to embrace whatever adventures and opportunities lay ahead.